Welcome to Real Horror Case Files, where I, Salva, tell you all about the most horrific and terrifying true crime and paranormal stories from around the world. Joining me, as always, is my co host Chantal.
Hi, everyone.
Are you ready for today?
Um, sure, I guess.
It is our first episode of our new paranormal spooky show that we've both kind of wanted to do for like a good long while,
A
but
long time. We've been talking about it for years.
yes. So now we feel like finally can actually like get the ball rolling and
Yeah.
do it. So um the how the show will work. Um I mean, I'm sure it'll change
It's
many,
us, it's
many
gonna change.
times. Yes. Um but I will essentially be telling Chantel stories, true paranormal and true crime stories. And Chantal is just going to react to the horrific, sometimes emotional roller coaster of these
Yeah,
stories.
yeah.
We have like a whole Excel spreadsheet of, I think it has to be at least like 120 like
It's a
topics.
it's a lot, and there's a lot on there where I'm like, I know what it is, but I don't remember what order we're gonna be doing them in, so it's gonna be a surprise when you bring it up.
They're completely random. We kind of were just like, let's just compile a giant list of topics.
And then when we were deciding what order to do them in, I remember us being like, "Oh, we should do this one next," and then us being like, "Oh, let's just do this random one," like, all the way at the bottom. And
Yes.
we're like, "Let's
Yeah.
do this one in the middle." It was
Yeah.
just
So it's
so
definitely there's definitely a lot. I'm trying to mix it up between paranormal episodes and then true crime
mhm,
episodes. There are certain topics that will have multiple parts for them, just with the nature of like the information that's involved with it, and just like the entire specifically for like true crime stories.
mhm,
Just the nature of how the crimes went and how long they went over. Some of them are like years in the
yeah,
making, so it's definitely something that will be like multi-parters. Some of
mhm,
them are true crime and paranormal, which
yeah,
is fun for me because then I get to kind of interloop the two. But I'm gonna try to keep it balanced and try not to do too many really heavy topics
mhm,
one after the other because there are some, especially true crime stories, that are
quite heavy.
very heavy.
Mhm,
Like the ones where I have listened other podcasters talk about, and like I'm
mhm,
crying and I have to stop listening because I'm crying.
yeah,
But that's just the nature of these things. So we do want to take them seriously. Like there are
mhm,
victims involved in a lot of these, in most of these stories. So obviously respecting them, respecting their families, and trying to tell a rounded story from everyone's point of view without glorifying the murderers or the criminals and
mhm,
sympathizing with the victims.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah,
With that being said, because it's the first episode, I kind of wanted to take it a little light and fluffy. And so it's not really like there's no like true crime behind it. It's a paranormal story.
and it's
Um
local.
it's local to us. It's probably one of the most famous landmarks in Toronto.
Yeah,
Um
we've been there many, many times.
Many, many times. It is Casa Loma and the story behind Casa Loma and Sir Henry Powlett.
Mhm,
All right, so without further ado, we're gonna get into the history behind Sir Henry Powlett and how he decided to just build a giant castle in the middle of Toronto.
yeah, which was I mean, hey, good for you. I
You know
wish I
what?
could do that.
If you have the money, why not, right?
Yeah, yeah, like, I
He
wish I could just build a random castle in the middle of Toronto, but
Don't we all?
as there's, like, a land housing shortage, it's not gonna happen.
Listen, we're not going to get political on this show, okay? We're strictly going to tell the stories.
Well, okay, I mean, to be fair, I'm pretty sure when he bought the land, Toronto was a lot less developed, so he had the space to work with, so, I mean, why not?
Yes. Absolutely.
Why
Absolutely.
not? Build your dream house.
I wish. That's why I build it in Sims.
Exactly.
Can't afford it otherwise.
Exactly. I can't afford my 10-story castle any other
God.
way.
Yeah. My 3-layer basement.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into the story. So, born in Kingston, Ontario on January 6, 1859, to British parents, Henry Powlett was destined for great things right from the start. He attended the Upper Canada College, but he always felt like he was destined for something greater, so he decided to leave shortly after and pursue a career in commerce in his family business. And by age 23, he was a full partner at his father's brokerage firm, Pellet and Pellet. What were you doing at 23, Chantal?
School.
We decided to stay in school. Yeah.
I am still in school. I was in school.
Like most
Um,
people, when
yeah,
you hear people like trying to become partner at like law firms and brokerages, like that takes years to
it takes
accomplish.
years. I'm always like, whenever I see a 21-year-old and they're like, I finished university and I have a corporate job with a house. I'm like, how?
How?
Whoa.
Yeah. I guess he kind of did have like a leg up in the whole
Yeah,
thing because it was a
he
family
was a
business.
nepotism baby.
it
Yeah.
was it was gonna happen. So, either way,
Yeah.
he became partner at 23.
I mean, hey, I mean, if you've got the resources to, why not?
Why not, right? Why not?
Why not?
So in 1879, he met Mary Dodgson, and they married 3 years later in 1882. She is actually older than he is.
By
I did
math
do a bit.
standards, I'm not great at math, but by math standards, I'm pretty sure he was 26 when he got married.
Yes, and she was older than he was. I do
Yeah.
know that. She was older than he was. So there you go. Yeah, so they married in 1882 and he was very involved with his family and he embraced the family motto. I may butcher this and I am so sorry. Devant si je puis.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
I don't know
Uh,
what it means, but sounds good.
I'll put it on the screen here. It basically means foremost if I can. Um,
That's actually kind of
yeah, and you
pretty.
can, I mean, like we've said before, we've been to Casa Loma many, many times, and I think
Mhm.
there's one particular window on the main floor. It's stained glass window where it does have the family crest of
Yeah.
the palettes on there with that saying.
Mhm.
So,
And that's in the room with the fountain, right? There's the
I
giant
believe
fountain and, like, all
so.
the plants.
It's
I forget what it's
it's
called.
either
This
the solarium.
Yeah, the solarium.
Yeah, so it's either in that room or around that area because I do remember it being there, like in
Yeah.
that section of the castle.
If you guys get a chance to go, it is very, very nice.
Go during Christmas time. We went also
Oh my
if you're
god.
gonna also go like go during Halloween because they do the Casa Loma Horror Nights.
Oh, yeah, we should go this year during Halloween.
Oh, do we have to?
We don't have to, but we can. It'll be fun.
But it's like really cool because I did go one like during the day and they have a bar there and in the center of like the centerpiece of the bar is a fucking dragon.
You don't need to convince me anymore. You had me at bar.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, there's a dragon in the middle of the bar.
Yeah, we should go
Yeah,
just for the bar.
exactly. Yeah. So he was very involved with his family and he loved traveling to Europe as well, and he was very inspired by the architects that will later inspire his future home. Chantal, you've been there, so you probably like see
I
similarities.
I do, I
Just the
do.
outside structure of the house,
Yeah, like,
you
a
know,
lot of it, when you look at the house, is very different than a lot of the rest of the buildings in Toronto.
just okay,
It's
in your
very
head,
European.
yes, in your head, just picture, this is for the listeners and the viewers. In your head, just picture your typical European, like medieval castle
Yeah, with the, like,
with
oh
the
god, I forget what they're called.
towers
The towers
and
at the top.
yes, all of that. Just picture that's exactly what Casa Loma looks like in the middle of Toronto.
Mhm. Around, like, developed areas too, where there's,
Yeah.
like,
Well, there's a few
actual
other like
houses.
there's a few other like manors and how
Well,
and
'cause
bigger
his
houses
hunting
there.
lodge is, like,
Yes.
connected by a tunnel, right? So it's there too.
There's another house next door, and I remember this is in 10th grade at my other high school. We were we were going on a field trip for history, and they we pulled up into the parking lot of Casa Loma, and we were all like, "Oh my God, are we going to Casa Loma?" And my teacher's like, "No, we're going to that other house over there. That's like half the size." It was still a very beautiful and big house, but not nearly as big as
She
Casa
got all
Loma.
your hopes up and then
I
was like,
know.
"Nah."
Yeah, she's like, "No, we're not going there." Anyways, but there's a lot of like, especially built during or like around in and around the same time that Casa Loma was
Mhm.
built. There's a lot of houses in that area there as well.
We do have a lot of historical buildings in
Mhm.
Toronto, but I think Casa Loma is unique in the way that the architecture is,
It's
because
a
a lot of
legit castle though. Like I don't think
'cause
there's any
yeah,
other residential building that big in
like,
Toronto.
there are some buildings that kind of mimic portions of, like,
Yeah.
castles and a lot of European style buildings, but the whole building doesn't copy it.
No. No. And it's I don't think nearly as big as Casa Loma.
No. Casa Loma has, like, 3 floors, a basement, a
4 floors
tunnel.
in the base. No, yeah, 3 floors.
3 floors, I mean, I guess 4 floors if you count the very top of the towers and everything.
Yes. That's the other thing. Like what other house do you know that has towers? Two
Towers, exactly.
towers.
And towers that have, like, rooms within the towers that
Yeah.
go up. Yeah, like
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, so he was very inspired with the European architecture, and that's kind of what really inspired Casa Loma. He was very interested in new innovations as well, and he took a lot of business opportunities in them, like as much as he can. So, for example, when Thomas Edison developed the steam generated electricity, Pellet immediately took that as a very profitable business opportunity to supply energy, and so in 1883, he founded the Toronto Electronic Light Company, and by the time he was 30, the company basically was had a monopolized majority of the streets in Toronto. They were supplying the lights in almost all of Toronto at that time.
yeah.
By 30,
He did well. You know what I'm
yes.
gonna be doing at 30? School. Yeah.
I just like I mean, Chantal, you're about to turn 26 in December. Um,
October,
I'm
woman.
sorry. So sorry. In December. And at that point, and I'm already 26. Well, like we're 4 years away from that.
Mhm.
Like it's
Yeah,
crazy.
I know. Cause like,
I feel like I've
I
accomplished nothing in my
I know,
life.
right? Same, like, I wanna get my PhD, which is why I think I'll still be in school, but
You will get it one day, and when you do, we're
I'm
going to
gonna do it.
celebrate.
I am definitely gonna try.
Anyways, but Sir Henry Powlett, by the age of 30, owned a company that had a monopoly over all of the electricity in Toronto. Um, so in 1892, his father had retired. So in 1892, his father had retired, and as a result, Pellet was able to take on more risks with the company and bought stocks in the Canadian Pacific Railroad and the Northwest Land Company. And by 1901, he was the chairman of 21 Canadian companies in mining, insurance, land, and electricity. And then in 1902, he and his partners built the first Canadian hydro generated plant at Niagara Falls.
Yeah,
I don't
which is
know if it's that. I think they've just so I mean I just like went back to Niagara Falls like 3 weeks ago for the first time in 4 years, like pre-pandemic.
mhm.
And they had turned the hydro plant that's like right next, like the big one right next to the falls into a museum. I
Yes, they did.
I don't know if that's the particular one that was. I'm going to assume so because it is a really old building, and
Mhm.
for a very long time, it kind of just sat there empty. Like my entire life, it was just like a building that they would tell us like, oh yeah, that's the old hydro building, but they don't use it anymore, so it's
Yeah,
non-functioning. And they just
yeah.
recently turned it into a museum. I wanted to go, but we didn't have time.
You know what? We'll go one day, me and you, we'll
We'll
go
take a
together.
trip to Niagara.
We'll
Let's
take a
do
trip
it.
to Niagara.
Yeah.
We'll go to,
Yeah.
like, Fort George, we'll do
I want to
the
do all
hydro
that.
plant.
There's so
We'll
many.
do it.
Also, just a little sneak peek for future episodes. There's a lot in Niagara Falls, St. Catharines area that are on our list.
Yeah, it's a pretty haunted area that has quite a lot of
Yes, lots of
history.
history behind it. Yeah.
So it's so haunted, in fact, that, they have multiple ghost tours, and I've been on them more than once, and each time I go on them, they have new stories about recent events that happened
I'm
from
so
recent
I
hauntings.
want to go
So
so bad. We have to go back to
we
yeah.
will.
Yeah.
We'll plan it.
Yes. Yeah. So anyways, I don't know. I'm going to assume that that's the particular one that he was involved in creating. But yeah, he was involved in that. So he was also very passionate and involved with the military, specifically the Queen's Own Rifles. And because of this, of his involvement in that, he was actually knighted despite being Canadian born in 1905.
Mm,
Yeah. I mean, up until that point, like, I think we were still, I mean, we still are common law
we're still common law. Yeah.
um, nation under the UK and England, but I don't think any Canadian gets knighted unless they've
I
done
mean, they
something
yeah,
super, super specific. I mean, I
they
know they have like
they
a
can.
Canadian version of being
Yeah.
knighted, but you're not like actually being knighted by a royal person. He was.
And a lot of people don't really associate, like, a lot of people in Canada don't really associate with the monarchy. They're just like, "Yeah, we're a commonwealth," but they don't really have anything to do with us other than that.
That's really it. Like there's really no involvement at all that they do. Like we're very much our own country and they just like to be on our dollar bills.
Yeah, and they do have, like, I forget the word for it, almost like ceremonial duties, ones that don't actually have
Yeah.
very much legal, like,
Like there's the
that
governor
don't affect us
general.
legally
Yeah, like
too
there's
much. It's more
yeah.
yeah,
Is it
it's
the
more like a
governor
figurehead.
general? Is it the governor general or the lieutenant general that is like the country's version of like the person that goes to the head the monarchy?
Good question.
It's one
I
of
do
those
not
two.
I think it's the governor general,
I
but
think so.
I'm not 100% sure. We have a
Yeah.
lot of we
There's
have
a
a lot
lot.
of the
It's
things.
yeah.
It's a
Uh
lot.
yeah. Anyway, so he was knighted in 1905. And in 1911, this is where we start to see his dream house be um, developed. In 1911, he hired architect E.J. Lennox to build his dream home, and together they worked on building a castle in Toronto. The land,
Just a quick quick question. Is your
Yes.
cat on your bed?
She is. Yes.
Okay, cause like, your background's blurred, right? So I saw
Yes.
just a black blur
My
shifting.
room my room is very messy. Like I didn't have time to clean up there's a pile of clothes on the floor, but I wonder if I can just no, it's too blurred.
It's
Too
your
blurred.
cat,
She's like right
I
here.
just saw a black mass move, and I was
Yeah,
like, "Yeah,
she's right
that's
here.
yeah."
That's Luna. She's right there. Anyways, I wonder if this is so weird. Anyways, actually Chantal, my house is haunted and that's not actually my cat.
Well, my house has a demon in the basement, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I
I
know.
mean, not actually, but it feels like it because the basement's super creepy.
We'll get to the point. I mean, we could tell the story now
Well,
where
I
like
remember the, like, 3 times we recorded at my house and, like, random stuff started happening?
yeah, or like when I mean the fuse blew in your thing, but
Mhm.
that freaked that scared me so
You
much. I
screamed
screamed
so loud that it scared me so bad when you screamed.
because the lights were they just turned off and I heard a loud
Yeah.
click.
Yeah, it was just a fuse, and I knew it was just a fuse, but you freaking out scared me more
I
than
wasn't
anything
expecting
else.
it to blow.
And then there was the other time when, my parents were home too, and we thought they were cooking, but they weren't because they didn't start cooking until we finished recording, and the smoke detector kept going off. And my dad pulled out, the batteries and changed them so it would stop beeping, and it kept going off, and then he eventually took the batteries out, but it still kept going off. There was that too.
Can I tell you a really funny story that happened like a week ago?
Mhm.
Okay, sorry, we'll get back to the regular scheduled program in a minute. Um, so this is paranormal-esque, but um, one night my dad was sitting outside drinking his coffee, and he looked up at the sky and he saw these like flashing lights. It was like flashing green and red, but then like so he pulled out his binoculars to like take a
Okay.
look at it to see what it was, and it was like
Airplane?
no, he didn't really know what it was. He couldn't tell because it was so dark outside. All he could see was like a flashing red and flashing green light, but like you could tell it was something, and it was just it was just like standing in one position, like 200 feet in the air. So he calls me down. I'm like up here playing my game, and he calls me down, and he's like, "Can you like look? Like, what do you think that is?" And I looked at it. I mean, it did look extraterrestrial-esque, you know?
Mhm.
So we were there like, I don't know what that is. So in my mind, so I jokingly was like, "Oh my God, you guys, they came for us. They finally came for us." And I'm saying this really
Aliens.
loud. I'm like outside and I'm saying this really loud, right? And all of a sudden we hear the it was a drone.
Oh.
It was a drone.
I
It
was
was
gonna say radio tower, but
because
yeah,
then
drone
my
too.
dad, my dad goes, it's moving, guys, it's moving." And then we hear our neighbor laughing, and he goes, "It's
Oh.
me, it's my drone. I just wanted to take a video of the sunset."
He should have dressed his drone up as, an alien spaceship and, like, brought it down in front of you
Truly,
guys.
yeah.
That would have been good.
It was just so funny because, like, I think for a moment there, my dad legit thought that they were coming to take him away.
Oh, good old alien stories.
Anyways, let's get back to our,
Regularly scheduled program.
yeah. So like I said, he hired EJ Lennox to
Mhm.
design and build his dream castle. And he purchased a land that the previous owners had called Casa Loma. So he didn't actually create the name Casa Loma. He just bought the land that the land was already named Casa
Yeah.
Loma, which is Spanish for hill house. So
Yay.
yeah, haunting on Hill House. Anyways, it is on a hill.
I mean, hey, that was a really good show. It was very spooky. Um, I don't think Casa Loma is nearly that spooky. I haven't
No.
ever I mean, except for maybe the tunnel, but the rest of it is not
We'll get
nearly
to
that
the
spooky.
tunnel in a minute. We'll get to there in a minute. So taking a total of 3 years to build and $3.5 million, which, Chantal, you want to guess how much that is in today's money?
1.1 billion.
$75 million.
Oh, I wasn't even close.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean,
It's still,
that's
you would
still a
assume
huge
though.
amount.
Yes.
That's still a huge amount.
I'm sure though, in the last week with inflation, that number is way higher.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, anyways, yeah, 75 in today's dollars, $75 million to build.
What I could do with 75 mil. A
If
lot.
I had $1 million.
I could buy myself a broom closet.
That's so true though. I can't even like
Mhm.
argue with you on that.
Yeah.
It's essentially what you'll
Yeah.
afford in Toronto nowadays. Um,
Yeah.
so it's so it took 3 years to build. It is 64,700 square feet,
It's a
and
big puppy.
yes, and has 98 rooms.
Oh, really? Only 98? I thought it was, like, way more than that.
Well, you know the rumor that there's three secret passage tunnels, three
Yeah.
secret passageways, and
One of them which they haven't found
they've
yet.
only found two.
Yeah.
One that goes from his study that goes upstairs and then downstairs.
Mhm.
There's apparently another one, according to the blueprints that they have, but they don't know where it is because they've tried to
Yeah.
look for it.
One day we'll go and we will find it for them. I have
Let's.
faith in our sleuthing escape room abilities.
They speaking of escape, they do escape rooms there. It's through a third party company, but they do
Yeah.
escape rooms there.
Yeah.
So
I wanna try one.
aside from celebrating Christmas and scaring you at Halloween, they also do not ghost, um,
Escape rooms.
escape rooms.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he wanted, while they were building it, he really wanted the latest technologies in the house. So these included the first elevator in a private home,
Mm.
with a central vacuum system. There were there are 59 telephones around the house, which you can actually see in some of the rooms. They still have like either the physical telephone still there or like the holder where the telephone would have been on the wall.
How many
Um,
telephones do you have in your house, Sally? Landlines, not including cell
Landlines,
phones.
one.
Okay, we have 3. We have 1 in the basement, 1 on the main floor, 1 upstairs.
I feel like that's normal though. We used to have
But
two.
our case, like, our the one that we bought came with the 3
Yeah.
handsets.
So you might as well just set them all
So
up. You
it
already
was like
have
we were
them.
just like 1 on each floor just in case you're not on, the
Yeah.
main floor.
Yeah. That's I feel like
Could you
standard.
imagine what was it, 58?
59 telephones.
59 telephones
And like
in
you
your
know
house.
the old-timey telephones, they're not quiet, they're loud.
And as far as I understand or know, they were expensive. That was not
Well,
cheap.
Chantal, when you just have a sleazy $75 million lying around to build yourself a castle,
Yeah. And when you have, the money to put an elevator into your private residence,
right? There's
which
also, which like most places don't have, an internal organ.
like the piano.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah,
organ
yeah,
though.
because it goes up, like, 4 stories or something ridiculous. Because I remember seeing the back of it.
It's where the elevator is, and they put like a glass partition there so you can see it, and that's where the organ pipes are. And
Mhm.
it goes through all the floors. So, if you
Yeah,
just wanted to play an organ, why
it's
the hell
massive.
not? Yeah, it's huge. It is huge.
It is quite large.
Um, so uh yeah, 59 telephones around the house, and like it truly was like a state of the art like architect,
Mhm.
you know, in its glory. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it was like a state of the art building, is what I'm
Mhm.
trying to say.
It was up in the times. It had all the most
Yeah,
modern at the time technology.
exactly. Yeah, like even the showers back then, like they didn't have
Oh my
showers.
god, they look like death traps.
They do. Like if you go in there, you go through the house and you see the showers in Henry Pallet's room and Lady Pallet's room. Um they look like death contraptions,
They literally
like gas chamber type
they look like
things.
horror movie torture type devices,
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah. Um but nobody else had showers. Everyone had bathtubs. Or
And
even
they
like
still had bathtubs too.
yes, so they had shower, bathtub, and a bidet.
And yeah, and a bidet.
I would kill for a bidet. Oh my god, I
I
love a
know, right?
bidet. No, they don't build houses with bidets anymore.
I mean, sometimes in Europe they do, and, Korea, I think, as well, and Japan are really big on them.
My old house had a bidet in the bathroom. It was beautiful.
I never had a bidet.
It's Chantal. If you're too lazy to take a shower, but you still gotta clean certain places. It was great.
Yeah,
It was great.
yeah, especially if there's,
Or
paper towel shortages,
yeah, yeah.
toilet paper shortages. COVID.
Right? It was right next to the toilet. Very convenient.
Some of them are in the toilet.
Well, now you can buy a thing that you attach to your toilet, but it's not the
Yeah.
same. It's not the same.
Some of them play music when you sit down.
Mine didn't. That would be nice.
That would be nice. Some of them are heated.
Mine
Anyways,
wasn't.
I
It just.
digress.
Anyways, sorry. We're just like imagining
Talking about
life
bidets.
with a bidet. Anyways, yeah. So like I said, there are three known secret passages. There could be more. We don't know.
Yeah.
They know of three, but they've only found two. There's with a total of 4 floors, 2 towers, and a 800-foot long tunnel underground that led to the stables.
Yep.
So
Don't the tunnels underground also lead to his hunting lodge?
that's what the stables are.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yes,
I
yeah.
always
So
thought that
they
okay.
don't have that part of the thing open. They just have like the stables open, but like that
Yeah.
that whole red building there, that was his hunting lodge.
Yeah, and I know that they do have it open, but only during, like, specific times of the year.
Mhm.
They don't have it open all the time.
Yeah.
Um,
Like I think they have it open during Halloween
mm,
horror nights, terror nights, whatever they call it, to do like the scary walkthrough maze thing.
yeah, and I think there's an escape room that they put in there too.
Oh, okay. We'll just have to do the escape room then to explore that part of the castle.
Yeah, we'll just do all the escape rooms.
Why not? Why
We're
not?
we're really good at it. Well, I mean, I'm really good at it. You're really
Oh
good
yeah,
at moral support.
I am. I'm like, you go, Chantal.
And then there's always the ones where I'm super confused and you're like, "It's this," and you get it right away. And then there's always the ones where you're like, "What the hell is that?" And I'm like, "It's this."
I
We
am
work good as a team.
confused. Yeah, there we
We work
go.
good as a team.
The dream team right here.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Pallet filled his home with priceless work of art from Canadian artists and artists from around the world. There is one room called the Group of Seven room, and that is currently filled with the artwork of the Group of Seven, which, if you don't know, basically they're a group of seven artists, Canadian artists, that they each of them had their own unique styles, but they were
Mhm.
very similar in their styles, and they would mainly paint like Canadian landscapes.
Yeah.
I think if any, he technically wasn't part of the group of seven, but I think one of the more famous names associated with the group of seven is Tom Thompson, who was murdered. That would be a nice story to add
Yeah.
to our list. He was murdered in Canoe Lake in Algonquin Park, and they don't know. Oh my God, that does look like something's like.
Yeah, yeah, see what I mean? Like, your cat is being very spooky right now.
She's just like really, she's really hot and she's like really stretched out on
It's
my
yeah,
beds.
there's heat warnings right
Yeah,
now
yeah.
in Toronto.
Anyways, yeah, so that's who the group of seven was, and there's one room associate specifically dedicated to them. I think it's one of the round rooms.
Mhm.
There's I think two rooms, one like um above the other, that is perfectly round. There's no corners at all. Like
Yeah,
even when you look at the doors are curved so that they
per
can curve with the room. The fireplace is also curved, so it curves with the room. So it's the perfect round room,
mhm.
um, which is I
Which
think one of
is
the more unique
it's
features of
very
the.
unique, but also, like, kinda spooky. You know when something is, like, just so
You're
completely
just like
different?
in a vortex type.
Yeah, and it's like when something's completely different from the rest of, everything else, it kinda makes it a little bit spooky. It's like, "Why
Hmm.
are you different? Why were you made different? What was the
Exactly.
purpose?"
Yeah. Yeah. But it definitely is. I mean, it's a nice room. That's where they have those chairs that you really like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Those really elegant
It's really
chairs. Yeah.
they have so many, nice furniture in Casa Loma that, like, every time I go, I'm like, "I want that."
Yeah. The thing is you
It's so
can't
nice,
sit on
but
the like you can't even
they're
touch
but
those.
they're yeah, because 'cause they're so old and the, fabric is starting to, deteriorate a little bit,
Yeah.
but they are really, really beautiful chairs.
Mhm.
They're works of art all in themselves, like,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
they're beautiful, and it goes really nice with the theming that they have in that room,
Mhm.
and I think actually it's across from the organ, is it not? The
I think
organ
it's in
viewing
that
hall.
I think it's in that hallway.
It's in that area, at
I think
least,
so. I think so. There's a
and it's
lot of like little corners
mhm.
in this castle that like you like we spent a whole day there
Yeah, we
just
literally spent
exploring.
a whole day.
Yeah. And there's just like I'm sure people are just like, well, it's just a house. Like what are they gonna do with it? But like there's so much in there and so much history behind it that it's definitely also if you're gonna go, they have I haven't been in there, but a renowned restaurant
Yeah, we
at
ate
Casa.
at the cafe, not at the restaurant, and the
No.
cafe was pretty good. It was
Yeah.
decent.
It was
It wasn't
decent.
great.
It's
It
like
wasn't great, but it
yeah.
was decent for what it was,
We
and the restaurant, I've heard very good things about it. It's also, as far as I understand, pretty expensive.
yeah.
But every person who's been to that restaurant has said good things about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So because of his reputation, he was almost expected to host these lavish parties. And Casa Loma over the years has hosted many parties. It still does. You can still have parties there.
They
Um,
do weddings and stuff too.
I mean, if you're gonna have a wedding, why not have it at a castle, right?
Yeah, and they do a lot of filming. A lot of
Yes.
filming.
I will get
Now
to that. I will get to that.
I notice it all the time now whenever I'm watching shows, and I'm like,
Mhm.
"That's Casa Loma." They'll
That's
be
it
like, "Oh,
right
yeah,
there.
this is Wayne Manor," and I'm like, no, it's Casa Loma."
Casa Loma. It most definitely is Casa Loma. Anyways, we'll get there. We'll get there at the
We'll
end.
get there, we'll get there.
I have a little tidbit about that too. So some of these events also included events for Girl Guides, which Chantal, you're very familiar with
I
Girl Guides
was
because you
I was
used to
Girl
be
Guide.
one.
Yeah.
So Lady Pallet, she was very active with Girl Guides. She was honored with the Silverfish Award and appointed the first commissioner of the Girl Guides in 1919. And Sir Henry was very much involved with many charities as well and organizations, including Trinity College, Grace Hospital, and St. John's Ambulance Bridge in Canada. So they were very much like, as much as you want to say like, oh well, they're just a bunch of rich people, they very much were involved with their community.
Yeah.
I mean, as I said before, like he was involved with the queen's the queen's own rifles,
Yeah.
and like them alone, you know. Um Anyways, so everything seemed to be going well for the first few years. However, darker days fell upon the Pellets. Maintaining Casa Loma, they quickly realized, became very difficult and they started to go in debt. The true loss happened when the government decided that one man shouldn't hold a monopoly in on the electric power, and that it should be under public power ownership. So Pallet lost his shares in that, hoping that land would be a more profitable solution. He purchased a bunch of land around Casa Loma, but when World War One hit, um, it kind of put everything at a standstill. And instead of people, they didn't want to invest in houses, they started investing in war bonds instead, on pallet and pallet, and the company went bankrupt.
Mhm.
They lost $1.7 million or $20 million in today's currency.
Ouch.
When the Great Depression hit, no one wanted to buy land to build their homes surrounding a giant castle, which is understandable, like,
Mhm.
you know. So Pellet was forced to sell off that land. And hoping for some kind of stability, he was forced to sell some of his prized collection at auction and eventually abandoned the castle. They moved to their farm in King Township in 1924, where unfortunately Lady Pallet had died a year later at the age of 67. Sir Henry Pallet continued to live, and he died on March 8th, 1939. And with everything else in his very lavish life, when he was younger, he had a very big funeral procession in Toronto, and he was buried with full military honors despite not
Mhm.
being a full military veteran.
Yeah.
But because he was knighted and because he had a lot of he was associated heavily with the Queen's own rifles. They felt that he deserved a full military honors funeral.
Yeah, it very much is a sad ending for him
Yeah,
because
like
he
it.
had everything going in
Mhm.
his life, and then, I mean, like, it's very much, I understand the government's point of view of not having a monopoly on the electricity,
Mhm.
um, but also it's very sad that, he built this up and the government was able to just
Take
take
it,
over.
sweep right under his feet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, it's a very sad ending for, I mean, I don't know every single second of every single detail, but it seems like he worked despite having,
Mhm.
everything going for him, he worked pretty hard to get to where he was.
Yeah.
And I mean, despite his faults, he loved his wife, which I think is
That was the thing,
adorable.
like he definitely, and they had was it two sons they had?
I'm not
But
sure.
I
I
think
think so, but he definitely loved his wife, and
mhm.
as far as I understand, the reason why he put the elevator in was because she had mobility issues.
Mhm.
So he did, like, all
Yes,
this extra
because
stuff just
yeah.
for her, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"That's so sweet.
I wish one day I'll
That's so
find
sweet."
one day we'll find uh
Men who
men
can
in our
afford to build
lives.
us private castles that have elevators
Listen, if that's the case, I no longer need to work.
and
As long
have
as they don't
staircases
yeah.
imported from Europe.
Damn.
Yeah, this I
Um,
remember do you remember that on the tour? Because they do lots of tours, but the main staircase, was being imported from Europe, but it never actually arrived because it sank on a ship. And
well,
the one they have there is a different one than the
so
original one that was gonna go in there.
so they didn't actually, I mean, I'm gonna get into it in a minute, but they didn't actually finish the castle. They didn't finish
Yeah,
building it.
they
They
moved out before it was finished built, right?
Yes, yeah. So and then well let me get back into the
Okay,
story and I'll
get back
tell
into
you.
it.
Yes.
Sorry.
So what exactly happened to the castle after the Pellets abandoned it? Well, a man named William Sparling proposed to turn it into a hotel, and Casa Loma Hotel was opened in 1926 to 1929. Sparling had gained a lease to complete the Great Hall and the billiards room, which wasn't completed at the time. And he had plans to expand and add an east and west wing that will hold 96 suites and 56 rooms.
Wow.
So the New York Syndicate offered to purchase, well, so obviously, like that didn't come into
Yeah.
anything great beyond 1929. But fun fact, when you go down into the tunnels and you get to the end of the tunnel right before you're going to you go up the stairs to go to the stables,
Mhm.
there's a giant sign that says Casa Loma Hotel. That's the original sign of the hotel. Still there.
Y I don't remember this. We'll have to go back just so I can look at
You
it.
don't? Oh my goodness,
I
yeah,
don't
it's
remember
still there.
this.
It's still there, and they have like lights kind of
I've
behind
been
it, so it's dimly
I've been there
lit.
so many times. How do I
Yeah.
not, like, remember this?
Next time we go, I'll point it out to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So the New York Syndicate offered to purchase Casa Loma in 1928, but the deal never went through. But that didn't stop it from being still like a popular nighttime hub. Um, Glenn Gray and the Casa Loma Orchestra booked to play for 8 months in 1927 and 1928. But after the hotel closed in 1929, it stayed empty for some time until the city of Toronto took ownership in 1933 for this kind of hurts. Like this is how much they in 1933 how much they spent to
Oh, yeah, it was, like, a really cheap amount. Oh god,
twenty
okay.
$27,303.45 that was owed in back taxes. So the city of Toronto basically just took it for free because they there was so much money owed into it from the taxes that they're like, well, nobody's going to pay this, so we're just going to take ownership of the house of the castle.
Yeah.
But then the city had no idea what to do with it. Like, what do you do with the giant castle in the middle of Toronto? And at some point, they had suggested turning it into a high school, a museum, or an art gallery, a war veterans home, or a permanent residence for the Dione quadruplets. I very little information on that, but I'm assuming they're famous quadruplets at that time. But none of these seemed feasible for the city, so they actually considered demolishing it.
Could you imagine?
Like, but I mean, could you imagine if they actually turned it into a high school? Like, you're
Like, yeah,
basically going to high school to like you're basically going to Hogwarts.
yeah.
Like, how cool would that
Could you
be?
imagine how much damage the teenagers would probably do
That's the
knowing
thing, though. Yeah.
yeah.
It would have to be like a posh, like
Could you
you pay money to go to this high
like,
school.
could you imagine if they decided to demolish it?
What would be there? More
Like,
houses, more
that would be
expensive houses.
that would be so sad.
It would
I would
be.
actually cry.
Yeah. So in 1937, the Kiwanis Club of West Ontario, I think I'm saying that right. Kiwanis. Kiwanis.
Um, sure. I'm not sure, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Apologies if that's wrong. The Kiwanis Club of West Ontario They began operating it as a tourist attraction in 1937. So this deal actually continued until 2011, when the new Casa Loma Corporation was formed and continued to maintain the castle as a tourist attraction and home to events throughout the year. So today it welcomes over 650,000 visitors, hosting over 250 private functions, weddings, and special events, and is very popular during the month of October as it hosts its annual Legends of Horror nighttime events until Halloween. And the castle also been in popular film locations with movies such as X-Men, Chicago, Scott Pilgrims versus the World, Crimson Peak, Twitches, and Titans.
And more.
And more. There's actually, if you go down to the basement, there's posters all along the walls of all the
The
movies and
walls.
shows that have filmed at Casa Loma,
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
it's by the cafe, the tunnel entrance, the
Yeah.
cellar, that whole hallway, the pool,
Yes, I
the
forgot there
pool
was
as
an
well.
indoor pool in this house, in
And
this
I don't
castle.
think it ever got finished, but
No.
but they have the concept art up of the pool as
Mhm.
well, which was gonna be very beautiful and lavish.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like, it's really cool to go down in that tunnel because every once in a while, they'll put a new poster up, and I'll be like, "Oh my god, I've never
Oh.
seen this." Now I have to go watch it just to see Casa Loma in the film or in the show.
Yeah. So the big question now is it haunted? Um,
Um,
do you
my
think
and I'm 50-50 on this one.
that's fair?
I'm very much like, I don't know if it actually is haunted, but it
Mm-hmm.
feels haunted, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
'Cause it very much feels like sometimes it very much feels like somebody is watching you, but I don't know if it just because of there's a lot of mirrors, there's a lot of, like, art that is sometimes just creepy just because of the age,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of very big spaces where there's a lot of drafts.
Yes.
So, I'm very 50-50. I'm very much I wouldn't be surprised if it was haunted, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it's not.
Well, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I'm kind of just like I mean, I think we've despite being there many, many times, we've never actually done a full-blown paranormal investigation there.
Yeah, and I feel like if any room was haunted, it would be Lady Pellet's room. Her room is the one that I find for some reason the creepiest.
There's a
It's the
lot of
one
vibes there.
Yeah, like, especially in her because she has those small dressing rooms off
Mm-hmm.
to the side of her bathroom. Those to me are the
But there's a lot of
creepiest areas.
there's a lot of her clothes there, like her
Yeah.
original her hairbrush, a lot of the things that she used around the house.
Yeah.
There's a dress of hers that she used to wear in there as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if that room is haunted.
It's out of all the spaces, to me, that one is the creepiest space.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Lady Pellet's room, many people have reported seeing a lady dressed in white on the second floor or the basement. She is actually believed to be a maid who worked there in the early 1900s, when many people in Toronto were dying of influenza. And here's the thing about the the servants that they had at Casa Loma, because they would need a lot of servants to maintain that castle. Um, they paid them very well for the times.
Mhm.
They had, like, if you were, they housed them as well. There were specific rooms for the servants to sleep in. They were provided with food, with shelter, with as much comfort as they could possibly have as servants, and their pay was more than anyone else. So
Mhm.
I think for a lot of people who were in, like, who lived as servants, would strive to, you know, be under the care of the pellets, because
Yeah.
also who wouldn't want to be a servant in a castle? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, depending on your hours.
Yes, but like, from the tours that we've been on, they've said the servants were treated very, very well. They treated their
Mhm.
servants amazing and respected them and paid them very fairly for the times.
Yeah.
Uh, Sir Henry Powlett is also seen around the house. In one case, a young boy who saw a man standing at the second floor window. Um, he saw him there standing, and when they asked him to describe the man that he saw, the description matched Sir Henry's, and when they gave him a photo of Sir Henry, he confirmed that it was him standing at the window, saying, "That's him. That's why is he so mad?"
That,
I
yeah,
think
that would be kinda creepy, but also because
yes,
like, aren't children more in tune to the
they are.
spiritual
They're more
world?
susceptible to seeing spirits, which is why if any child of mine start speaking to an imaginary friend or asks me very specific questions about why the man in the corner is not joining us for dinner, I am selling my house and moving.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll just move in with you, Chantal, in your chateau, just as
Yeah,
long
that's
as
fine.
it's not
That's
haunted.
fine.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
I mean, my chateau may be haunted,
I
but I'll
mean,
keep the ghosts in line as long as they're
I
not
do have
bothering
to
us.
say though, if I ever get a ghost in my house, I hope I don't want like a mean ghost and I also don't want like a ghost that doesn't really do anything. I kind of
Well
want a ghost that you can like have a full-blown conversation with and just be friends with.
well, there was a story that my mom was telling me about somebody who lived in England and owned, like, one of those really big manor houses, and their house is haunted by a maid, and, I think it was, like, an ex-maid or one of those servants, I'm not 100% sure, but this ghost will just take random things and will just, like, take just random clothing, and it will just disappear, and then they'll be like, "Hey, ghost, can, like, we have it back?" And it'll, like, reappear in, like, 2 days in the exact same spot that they left it, but it wouldn't be there.
That's
Before, like,
so
the ghost could
funny.
take it, and, like, there was one time where the ghost returned the clothing, like, folded. It was very weird.
See, I wouldn't mind a ghost like that because that's like a funny, you could just be like, okay, I guess I'll just get it back in 2 days, whatever time schedule you want, that's fine. Oh, I see you don't want me to wear that dress. Okay, I'll wear the other one. I get the picture.
Yeah, like, I would want a ghost who wasn't mean. They do what
Yeah,
they wanna do, I do what I wanna do, we don't cross boundaries, you know?
but like we can cross boundaries sometimes. I think it'd be
Well, no,
fun.
if the ghost, like, tries to kill me because I paint their room, then I'm not gonna paint their room type of thing.
I feel like if I could just like you get those like paint cards at the
Oh,
hardware
yeah, you're
store
just like,
and
"Hey,
you just
ghost,
slide them down with the planchette and be like, "Okay, tell me which
which
color you
color?"
want." I mean, if you're
We'll
gonna
we'll
do
bring the
it,
spirit box. "Do you want wallpaper or paint?"
turn the flashlight on if you want paint. Okay, now turn it off if you don't want wallpaper.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's kind of ghost I want. Anyways, Lady Mary is also seen around. Speaking of Lady Mary before, she is known to be very private and but that didn't stop her in death. In one instance, they decided to film in her room and left a camera running for a few hours. When they returned to collect the footage, the tape was gone and it has never been found. They have no idea where it is. They have,
Hmm,
and the thing is, the staff said that they had locked the door behind them and they were the only ones in the castle at the time. So,
yeah,
you know,
that's, a little weird. Like,
yeah,
not a little weird, that's really weird,
that
like,
is because
to
it's
come
like
back and
if
have
you're,
stuff missing.
yeah, but
That
specifically the tape, like if
yeah.
if someone did break in, there's a
Oh, that
lot of
scared
things in there that's valuable.
that scared me.
What?
Someone's
Oh.
doing laundry,
Oh.
and the sound of the door hitting my door scared me.
Well, it's all good.
That
It's all
was
good.
I don't know if you heard it on the mic, but that was, like, really loud in my one ear, my right
Oh,
ear.
no, I didn't hear
It
anything.
scared it scared me so
Whew.
bad.
Anyway, so many mediums have said that they've sensed Sir and Lady Pallet, and they said that they choose to stay there, which I think happens a
I
lot.
would I would too, especially with how much they loved the house
They
or the
they put
castle
so
and how much work
much,
they put into it.
yeah, like they put so much love and time into it, and like I, it was supposed to be their dream house.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And unfortunately, they didn't get to be there until their passing. And I think with like the reason why Lady Pallet had died only a year after they had moved out was because she had a broken heart, that she loved it so much that she died of a broken heart.
Yeah, and I mean, like, a lot happened at that house, like, for them. A lot of their own personal history
Mhm.
happened at that house, like, especially when she got really, really sick, she still would, um, go, I believe, onto the balcony to
And
participate in
yes.
the different Girl Guide
Mhm.
events, and she would do so from her balcony because she valued it so much. Like,
Mhm.
that amount of care and love does not go away.
Yeah. The tunnels. The tunnel is also haunted.
Yeah, the tunnel very much gives off haunted vibes.
It's just a long, narrow hallway with
It's
no
like and, like,
windows.
it's got random alcoves too that, like, I think held some sort of machinery at one point. Some of them do have machinery still, um, but it's very creepy and it's very long.
So when they had it all, like when I went with my sister one time, they had it all set up for the Halloween Terror Nights.
Mhm.
And like going down that tunnel without anything in there is already creepy enough. Try going down that tunnel when there are like skeletons and body parts,
I want
like
to. Let's
like
go.
just around, like hanging from the ceiling.
We're gonna do it on Halloween. We'll go, and
Okay,
you'll
we'll
take me
go.
down the tunnel.
Okay, but you go first.
Okay, I'll go first. I don't mind going first, I'll go first.
Okay, Chantal, you'll go first. So don't be alarmed if I scream. Anyways, so many people have reported being grabbed or their hair pulled. They have heard a spirit sighing gruffly and has been captured in recordings speaking to visitors. One incident included him mocking a medium who said, "Oh, he's a horrible person."
Okay.
Mediums and other investigators have always gotten the same two names, but they refer to him jokingly as Mr. Happy, but he's really like a really grumpy ghost.
Yeah. Here's the thing, whenever I hear ghost stories, I always think of possibilities other than ghosts that it could be. So my question is, the people who had their hair pulled, were they wearing jackets? Because as you know, jackets can pull hair.
I'm not sure, Chantel.
Anyways, when we go to Casa Loma, I hope my hair gets pulled.
So we can prove that this is real?
Yeah, so we can say it's
Yeah,
not like a jacket, you know?
absolutely.
Because like, there's many things it could I mean, you're a girl, you know, with long hair. I mean, anybody with long hair knows that it can get caught in lots of things.
Yes.
On
Yeah.
jacket zippers, jacket buttons, sometimes Velcro. It could be anything could be pulling it.
Yeah. So
Even sometimes just fabric. It can get caught on just
when it
fabric.
falls a certain way, sometimes I'm like, oh, did someone just pull my hair?
Yeah. So I hope my hair we're gonna make sure my hair is perfect.
Okay.
And then when we walk through the tunnel, I hope it gets pulled just so I can be like, debunked. It's not my jacket. It's not my sure, it's not, you know,
Yeah,
it's a ghost.
it is a ghost. There is evidence that the spirit is that of Sir Pallet's friend who was hired to take care of his prize winning horses. So that's who they think, based off of the evidence that they've collected,
Mhm.
EVPs, whatever they do, that it's Sir Pallet's friend.
So did his friend die there, or did he
Well, I think the way, so I think with certain spirits and ghosts that they don't necessarily have to die in the house that they haunt. I think with the history and
Mhm.
maybe they had a lot of connections there. Maybe that was where they were the happiest, or maybe it
Because
was where they were the most, they had most, a lot of trauma happen to them and
mm,
they just go there.
'cause
Um,
I'm just wondering, like, why is he haunting the tunnel specifically?
because
Because, like
the tunnels were connected to the stables where the horses were.
yeah, no, I get that, but, like, why not the stables? Why the tunnels? And why would he and, like, does he go up and visit his friend? Like, do the ghosts just are like, "Every Tuesday night, we're gonna have social time," and, like, go
Imagine
visit each other? Like, is
every
this
listen, Chantel,
'cause
when we
maybe he's
die,
grumpy, like, maybe he's grumpy because whenever the mediums and, like, people come to talk to him, he's like, "I wanna go visit my friend, and now I'm stuck here talking to you." You know?
oh my God, that's so funny. That is,
The
listen, when
the
we
poor
die,
ghost.
when we
The poor
die,
ghost.
when we die and we become ghosts, we need to become ghosts together and just haunt
Could
the
you
shit out of
imagine, like,
people.
you dying and coming and haunting my house, and then me dying and going haunting your house, and we're in 2 different locations, and we're like, "God damn it."
Damn, I was here for her, and then you're like, no, I was here for you.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll meet in the middle. We'll just hunt this random house.
Yeah, so yeah. Yeah, like, I think call me weird, but I think about these things where I'm like, do the ghosts, like, ever just talk to each other? Do they, like, keep each other company?
I kind of feel like they do
Because,
because
like, a lot of times
you hear like when people do EVP sessions or like spirit box sessions where there's very much like the group of spirits that are the good spirits, and they're all afraid of one entity.
yeah, and it very much, to me, seems like this like, lonely for the spirits to be
Mhm.
separated, and it seems very odd to me that a spirit would be stuck haunting one specific location or
Yeah,
spot
because they could
in a
technically just go
building,
anywhere that they want. But
because
I
they could
think
go
it's
anywhere they
because
wanted.
I think that maybe they're either trapped there by some other greater entity, or they just feel the most comfortable there, and that's just where they
Yeah,
decide to go.
which is fair, because like, spirits, like, I mean, as you've seen on many ghost shows, they'll be like, "Come and join us on the 3rd floor," or "Come and join us here," and sometimes the spirits do go with them, but I just wonder, like, what is his connection specifically to the tunnels that has him wanting to stay in the tunnels, as opposed to, like, the stables or the main house
Maybe he
or
just really liked the walk in the tunnels to get to the stables.
not gonna lie, that's a little odd. It's a really creepy tunnel. But, I mean, maybe he likes creepy, maybe he thinks that's
Maybe it was
relaxing,
his
I don't know.
vibe. Maybe. Who knows,
Yeah, and I
Chantal?
mean, to be fair, it is quite refreshing. The tunnels are really cold, which
Yes.
during our summers can be really nice.
Yes. Right now.
Yeah,
I'm sweating buckets
yeah,
here. Yeah,
because you don't have AC.
I don't.
Yeah, that
Anyways,
sucks. That sucks so
um,
much, honestly.
so that
But
that
yeah.
is that is the story behind Casa Loma and Sir Henry Powlett.
Yeah, like, I would love to know more about the ghosts, but as far as I know, people don't investigate enough, or at least make it public, their findings enough
It was
to
it
no
was
more?
very hard for me to find information, like more grounded information and like stories of people doing actual paranormal investigations.
Mhm,
Like the only one that I know of people doing it is well, them trying to get the video recording.
mhm.
Um and Sam and Colby on YouTube. They
Yeah,
have a whole episode on just Casa Loma with Selena Spooky Boo. It's a great
yeah,
episode. You guys should go
which
watch it.
was kinda creepy as
Yes.
well.
Can I
Um
just say, so um the servants room where
Mhm,
they released that one or helped that one spirit go on to the other side?
mhm.
I don't know if it's maybe because they have a vent in there or anything, but it's definitely, every time I've gone in that room, it's definitely a lot colder in there.
Yeah, and it could
Even
just
in
be
winter, even when we went in the winter time.
yeah, it was so cold,
Yeah,
and it could just be the way that the room is designed.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's like there are certain like, not the whole building, for sure, but there are certain rooms where it feels weird. The vibes are off, it feels like somebody's watching you, and it very much feels
I feel
like
that way
there's a ghost,
definitely. Yeah, definitely in Lady
but
Pallet's room, but also
the Lady Pallet's room, the servants' room, and the tunnels is pretty much it, and maybe the vault. The vault
I
was
also, yeah, the vault was really creepy.
you okay, yeah, I thought you were behind me when we were going into the vault. Like, cause
Really?
remember when we were at Christmas,
Yeah.
I walked into the vault and I walked in, I think, forward before I turned around and realized that you weren't right behind me, cause I
I
thought
was
you
like
were.
2 feet outside of the door.
Yeah, and then I kept walking back because I was like, "How deep does this thing go?" But I turned around and walked backwards so that I could see you, cause it was very dark and very creepy.
Yeah.
And then, I hit the back wall, and then I was like, "Okay, this is creepy, I'm getting out of here." And I don't know if it's just because it was, like, not only dark, but very small. It's
Maybe.
very small,
I
but
get
that vault was
vibes.
creepy.
I also get vibes from his study.
Oh, yeah, his study, like, I don't really get very many vibes from that area, it just feels old to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It feels like
Definitely
it's an old
used.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it would definitely be a place that I could see his spirit going
Yeah.
to have time.
Yeah.
Because, like, a lot of the other rooms can be creepy because a lot of them do have, like, the is it the 3rd floor that has the, like, war
Yes.
memorials and
So
stuff?
the thing is, Sir Henry Powlett wanted the Casa Loma when he died to be turned into a war museum,
Mhm,
and that's why they were kind of like maybe like dabbling with the idea of just turning it into a museum. Um, which I mean they eventually did. It is a museum. It's
mhm,
you can go in there and do tours and all that. Um, but he specifically wanted it to be a war museum, and that's why the third floor is just that.
mhm, and the only reason why that floor can sometimes be creepy is because of the mannequins,
I get like a heavy vibe from that floor too.
and
And I
I
think it's
don't
just because of like all of the artifacts and
yeah, and I don't
historical.
think it's actually the pellets who would be haunting that
No,
area.
no, I don't get
I
that vibe
feel
at
like
all.
I feel like it would be somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
The towers don't f they just feel creepy to me, they don't feel haunted, it's just because the towers, like,
They're
are
a
very different from
tower.
the
Yeah.
they're very different from the rest of the house too because they're not as ornate.
Mm-hmm.
It's like as far as I remember, it's, like, all wooden, the stairs are all wooden, except for the stairs and the actual towers themselves going straight up, I think those are, like, metal.
Yeah.
Um, but the towers just feel creepy because it is cold up there. It looks older than the rest of the building just because of the materials used.
Yeah.
But I don't think that area is actually haunted.
Yeah, you just get creepy vibes from it.
Mm. Like a lot of the
Sorry, it's like really late and I'm tired.
it
I
is,
worked
it
all
is.
day.
It's 9 o'clock. Um, but yeah, like a lot of the building, it's only specific spots that you get weird vibes,
Mm-hmm.
not the whole entire building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that is all that I have for today. That's yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't actually like create a good way to like end the show. So thank you for listening slash watching. Um, like, share, subscribe. If you have any topics that you would like to suggest for future shows, please send them our way um, by going onto our website silvermaticstudios.ca and just go into contact us. And just make sure that the subject line is like suggestions for real horror case files. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, thank you, Chantal. And I think that's it. Do we do anything else?
See you next time. Toodles.
Stay spooky. Toodles.